Whoever performs the Hajj solely for the sake of Allah, and in the course of it abstains from sensuality and disobedience, such a person returns from there as immaculate as a child just born. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The annual pilgrimage to the Kaaba in Mecca and to certain key holy sites within the vicinity of Mecca is called the Hajj. Although Muslims can visit the Kaaba at any time of the year and perform a pilgrimage known as Umrah, the Hajj only takes place once a year, between the 8th and the 13th days of Dhu Hijjah, the 12th and final month of the Muslim lunar calendar. Every Muslim whose health and wealth allows him or her to do so should undertake a pilgrimage to Mecca at least once in his or her lifetime. This obligation is the fifth of the 5 pillars of Islam. For Muslims, the Kaaba stands at the sacred center of the world as the one shrine dedicated to the worship of the one God. According to Islamic teaching, it was originally built by the prophets Abraham and Ishmael, peace be upon them both, and intended to be the focal point for all human worship of the Almighty. It is for this reason that, no matter where they are in the world, Muslims orient themselves toward this holiest of shrines when they offer their obligatory 5 daily prayers. According to tradition, it was Abraham, also known as Halilullah, or the friend of God, who originally established the rites of the Hajj, rites which commemorate important events in his and his family's life of uncompromising service to God. All pilgrims enter into the sacred state of Ihram, a state of purity and of the renunciation of evil and mundane matters, in which both acts of violence against any living creature, quarreling, and normally permitted sexual relations between husband and wife are strictly forbidden. For male pilgrims, the state of Ihram is symbolized by 2 pieces of seamless white cloth, believed to have been the simple garb of the pure monotheist Abraham. Female pilgrims generally wear a simple white dress and a head covering, but not a veil covering the face. The simplicity and relative uniformity of the Ihram garments also have the effect of leveling all social distinctions, emphasizing the essential equality of all human beings in the eyes of God. Entrance into the state of Ihram is not only marked by a change in dress, it is also marked by the recitation of the Talbiyah, the primary invocation of the Hajj. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. Here I am, O God, here I am. You have no partner. Here I am. Yours is all praise, grace, and dominion. You have no partner. The first principal rite of the Hajj performed by the pilgrim is the tawaf, or circumambulation of the Kaaba 7 times accompanied by specific prayers. This circumambulation of the Kaaba, the symbol of God's oneness, implies that all human activity must have God and nothing else at its center. The circumambulation has been said to be in imitation of the angels, who constantly circle the throne of God, magnifying and praising His holy name. The prayers recited during the circumambulation function, in part, make it clear to the pilgrims that while the Kaaba marks the physical focal point of their worship is being offered not to the house or the place in which it stands, but rather to the one Lord of the house and of all places. The next rite of the Hajj is the Sa'i, or the running 7 times between the hillocks of Al-Safa and Al-Marwa. According to tradition, these are the 2 hills between which Hagar ran in a frantic search for water to quench Ishmael's thirst. At the end of the 7th run, she saw water miraculously bubbling up from beneath Ishmael's foot. The water, understood to be a divine gift in recognition of Hagar's devotion to and trust in God, was from a source which eventually became known as Zamzam, meaning to bubble up. The rites of the circumambulation and the running between the hills can be performed any time of year as part of an Umrah. While they are essential to the Hajj, what distinguishes the Hajj from the Umrah are a series of rites that unfold outside the precincts of the sacred mosque in Mecca. These rites include wukuf, or the standing on the plains of Arafat. This rite, often construed as the climax of the Hajj, takes place between noon and sunset on the 9th day of the month of the Hajj, when all pilgrims, usually numbering over 2 million, are gathered together in prayer and reflection in anticipation of the Day of Judgment, when all humanity will be gathered in hope for God's mercy. The standing is followed by an animal sacrifice on the 10th of the month. This sacrifice, which commemorates the sacrifice of Abraham in lieu of his son Ishmael, is also observed by Muslims the world over as Eid al-Adha or Eid al-Qurban, the second of the two great annual Islamic festivals. The sacrifice is followed by the stoning of the Satans and an additional farewell circumambulation of the Kaaba. During the Hajj, people of different nationalities, languages, and colors gather by the millions at Mecca. The unity of the human family as an expression of the unity of God is made explicit and palpable during the Hajj, when the pilgrims are united by devotion, ritual, utterance, and dress. On the Hajj, there is a single humanity, without room for discrimination between master or laborer, black or white, elite or lowly, native or foreigner. Today, millions of Muslims around the world make their way to Hajj by road, sea, and air. As pilgrims of diverse races and tongues return to their homes with a sense of awe and serenity, they carry with them cherished memories of Abraham, Ishmael, Hagar, and Muhammad. They will always remember that universal concourse, where poor and rich, black and white, young and old, met on equal footing. Above all, each pilgrim returns with a prayer on his or her lips. May it please God to find my Hajj acceptable, and may what the Prophet said about the power of the Hajj to wipe one's sins clean be true of my own sacred journey.